SpaceX is ramping up its efforts to begin establishing a million-person city on Mars. While you may be ready to jump abroad for a new life, but you better believe this: before I commit to anything, I need to know what we will eat. Unlike a lot of NASA's planned crew missions on the Red Planet, they are typically planned as a round trip with only a short stopover on Mars. However, Elon Musk has more ambitious plans of colonizing outer space with SpaceX and develop a long-lasting civilization on Mars. When it comes to establishing a practical strategy to stay out in Mars, we will need to rely heavily on resources that already exist, with very limited resupplies from Earth. That means for a Martian settlement, we would need 5 major consumables: energy, water, oxygen, construction materials, and most importantly, food. Luckily, the first 4 are looking promising and potentially in abundant supply on Mars. We will have solar power and nuclear fission reactors that will take care of our energy needs for our new Martian city. They found hydrated minerals and signs of ice caps which can provide us with ice-cold water. They have innovative ways of finding ways for us to have fresh oxygen by converting carbon dioxide into oxygen. Finally, we can also use the Martian soil to create building supplies to help us build the infrastructure. But that's where things get a bit trickier. There is no food naturally available on Mars. Thankfully, there are scientists and big Elon Musk is on the job. Here is what is on the menu. Kevin Cannon, a planetary scientist who led a study looking how we can be sufficient, said, "Food is probably going to be the hardest thing to make locally on Mars, and you can't just import it all if you want to have a self-sufficient settlement. Food sources we depend on are out the window, like raising farm animals for dairy and meat, would not be practical on Mars in the near term because of the challenges of shipping them across space. That being said, most people don't want to commit to a complete vegetarian program. Growing vegetables are also low in calories, which doesn't make them a suitable main calorie source. So, what's the solution? 2 main calorie sources will be insect farms and cellular agriculture. Insect farms are well suited for Martian cuisine, as they can provide a lot of calories in a small amount of space, whilst using little water and resources. In particular, crickets seem to be the golden ticket, with cricket flour being versatile and able to hide in a number of dishes. Bugs are the way to go, if people can get over the gross factor, according to Cannon. For those of us who prefer not to eat insects, there is a second option called cellular agriculture. This is food derived from cells grown in a lab. Scientists may be able to recreate some of our beloved foods from Earth, like milk, eggs, meat and fish, all from inside a lab. In some recent years, there's been huge amounts of money invested to refine this technology. Although we may not be able to depend on vegetables as the main source of nutrition on Mars, they are still seen as a pivotal part of balanced and healthy civilization. Many mock-ups of our new Martian settlement feature greenhouses, but it's unlikely that this will work in reality. Researchers have pointed out that Mars is so far from the Sun, even on the equator where sunlight is the strongest, the light plants would receive would be similar to what they get in Alaska, where plants struggle to grow. Another issue with greenhouses are made of clear window panes, which on Mars will block more light on Mars, since a stronger material is likely needed to support a heated, pressurized interior, given how the air on the red planet is much cooler and thinner than ours on Earth. The alternative plan is to use high-strength LEDs to supplement the sunlight collected and use vertical farming techniques like hydroponics or aeroponics to grow crops without soil. Although soil-based farming may one day be possible on Mars, more research is required to find a way to convert the inorganic Martian soil into a living soil that can support crop life. Another way researchers are looking to make it easier to grow is through genetically modifying crops to help us survive, like converting more carbon dioxide into oxygen and boosting crop yields. To gain a deeper insight into what it might take to feed a Martian city of 1 million people, researchers modelled a population that grew from immigration as well as through a birth rate of 10 per 1,000 people per Earth year, a rate typical of developed nations on Earth. To achieve this, they estimated 6,900 cruise ships to deliver about 1 million immigrants to Mars over the course of a century, with about 340,000 people born on Mars during that time. After modelling the calories needed for each civilian, they found that a colony of 1 million people could achieve self-sufficiency within the first 100 years. To achieve this, they would need 9,000 miles or 14,500 kilometers worth of vertical farm tunnels. Before establishing the massive infrastructure needed, however, they would need massive food imported from Earth, approximately 54,000 shipments from Earth. Research is already underway to achieve the goal of self-sufficiently quicker, such as boosting crop productivity, working out the highest yield and more nutritious insect species, improving the flavour and texture of cultured meat, making LED lighting better at growing crops, and developing automated methods for rapidly building pressurized, shield areas to house farms. While it may seem like science fiction, SpaceX and Elon Musk are already testing and building prototypes that can bring people to Mars. If you enjoyed this video, check out our videos on vertical farming or 14 fastest growing industries in the food industry.